Hanny Time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
And we welcome you into another edition of Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Sandegriff, Mario Jerez, and Taylor Sharp. Thank you for being with us today. Chris Rosvoglu in about 15 minutes. From Boot Crew Media, covering the New Orleans Saints, who are in action tonight. By the way, you can hear that on Eagle 98.1, Brian Kelly Show, moving over to 100.7 The Tiger. Programming note, now the program director will not keep leaving messages for me. Got my promo done? Good. We're there. By the way, no Brian Kelly Show next week on the off week. Everybody taking a week off. No press conference, no coach's show. Just take the week off. Enjoy some free time a little bit next week. So got all my programming notes done. Cool. The Saints go in tonight as a 2.5-point underdog to the Cardinals. Two teams that have had a rough start to the season. Both teams that were coming in with some high hopes and a lot of question marks, obviously. So when I look at this game, neither one of these teams has come anywhere close to fulfilling their potential. You go into a season thinking that you're a playoff team, you're thinking you're a contender, you start thinking about what is it that we don't have? What are the holes in the roster? And then you find yourself with a 2-4 record after 6 weeks, and you start saying, what do we got on a spaceship that's good? So what is it that we do well? Okay, can we emphasize our strengths and try to not let our weaknesses get us killed? So in this game tonight, the way I see it, the biggest problem for the Saints is not Kyler Murray. It's not even DeAndre Hopkins, who's coming back from a 6-game suspension. The biggest problem for the Saints lies with the Arizona Cardinals defense, which after getting run out of the stadium in the first week against Kansas City has been pretty good. And some of the overall numbers have been a bit skewed because of that game. We're still on a 6-game sample size. But since they played against the Chiefs in the opener, they held the Raiders to 320 yards and 23 points. Devontae Adams, the Raiders' best offensive player in that game, had 2 catches for 12 yards. Then they played the Rams and allowed 20 points, 339 yards. Cooper Kupp, who catches footballs when there are 9 people guarding him, had 4 catches in that game for 44 yards. Then they played Carolina, who's absolutely terrible. Only allowed 9 points, if you take out the pick six, 220 yards of total offense, and they held Christian McCaffrey to 8 carries for 27 yards. And they played the Eagles, and they allowed 357 yards and 20 points. That's the best team in football, the only undefeated team in football right now. But they held A.J. Brown to 3 catches for 32 yards, and they held Jalen Hurts to 61 rushing yards. And Hurts is pretty good. Then they played the Seahawks last week and allowed 19 points to 296 yards. They held DK Metcalf to 2 catches for 34 yards, and Tyler Lockett to 2 catches for 17 yards. These people can hit your fastball. They will take away your best pitch. So for the Saints, what does that mean? Well, a lot of their best players aren't playing tonight. No Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry, no Jameis Winston. So it falls on, in my opinion, 2 players tonight for the Saints. And here's where a little bit of positive light shines on this thing. Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. Now, in the Saints' last win, they've only won 1 in the last month, so I didn't have to research far to, hey, where did they have some success and what did they do? Well, against Seattle. Seattle's got a lousy defense. Listen, work with me here. It's the only one I got to work with. Alvin Kamara, 6 catches for 91 yards. Okay. Well, the Cardinals did hold Christian McCaffrey to 27 yards rushing, but he had 81 yards receiving on 9 catches. Hey, throw the ball to Alvin Kamara. That might be a decent idea. The other one is that the Jalen Hurts was held to 61 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns on the ground. They didn't get A.J. Brown going, okay? They really didn't get Miles Sanders going, but they got Hurts going a little bit, and I thought at the time there was going to be a tough game for Philadelphia to win, and they went out and won it. Now, Arizona had some kicking problems in that game too. But if Hurts ran for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns, I'm thinking Taysom Hill against Seattle. Seattle's got a lousy defense. Listen, work with me, all right? Taysom Hill against Seattle, 9 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, I don't expect Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara to combine for 200 yards in rushing and receiving and score 3 touchdowns between them. I think they could get by with a lot less than that. But that's what I'm starting with, okay? It's good that they're going to get Chris Olave back, and Andy Dalton has been okay. Nothing great, nothing terrible. But I'm starting with Kamara and Hill. Kamara through the air and Hill on the ground. That would be, based on what Arizona has given up defensively through the last 5 weeks, the best course of action that I can find. Now, you get to the Arizona offense, and Kyler Murray has been pretty bad. He's thrown 6 touchdown passes in 6 games. He's thrown an interception in each of the last 3 games. Quarterback rating is 24th in the league. Sounds a little low for somebody making what he makes, but okay. Maybe that's it. You get a big quarterback deal this offseason, you're just doomed for the 2022 season. Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, hanging out a little bit. Did you get a $250 million contract? I sure did. Did you? Yes. Are you good? Not this year. Not so far. QBR, if you like that number better, 19th, yards per game, 12th. His best game was against Carolina, who's since fired their coach. And the numbers looked all right against Kansas City through 2 touchdown passes, but they came in the fourth quarter after the Chiefs were up 30. So not so much. Kyler Murray not having a good year. Cardinals can't run the ball. Outside of Murray, who's their top rusher, James Conner and Eno Benjamin average less than 4 yards a carry, less than 40 yards per game. That's not good. Top receiver, Hollywood Brown, having a fantastic season. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, his season is done. But before it was, he had the 7th most yards in the league. That's more than Jamar Chase, who lit him up last week. That's more than Tyler Lockett, who lit him up 2 weeks ago. And he's got more touchdowns than Justin Jefferson, who lit him up 3 weeks ago. Say goodbye to Hollywood. But DeAndre Hopkins is coming back. DeAndre Hopkins in his life has made 5 All-Pro teams, 3 first-team All-Pros, 2 second-team All-Pros. He reminds me of, you ever used to watch the cartoon when you were a kid, Plastic Man? Or Plastic Man? Or maybe the guy from The Incredibles does it now, but when I was a kid, it was Plastic Man, okay? Plastic Man could stretch anywhere. Everything stuck to his hands. DeAndre Hopkins, when I watch him play wide receiver, he reminds me of Plastic Man because he can reach around, over, through, it seems like sometimes, to make catches. I don't know how he comes in after the layoff. We'll see. Some people, the layoff didn't bother all that much, like Zion Williamson. Some people, the layoff affected a great deal, like Ben Simmons. Hang on, not the NBA segment. Saints defense got a job tonight. And when you look at the Saints defense, everybody universally, well, this has been a really underachieving group. It has not been as good as what everybody wanted. I'll buy into that, but I'll also say that it's not completely the Saints defense fault. Are they the top 5 unit that we expected coming in? No. Have they rushed the passer? Not as good as you would like. Have they tackled well? At times it's been downright deplorable, like on the Chase play last week was the play that won the game for Cincinnati. But overall, the numbers have a little bit of a discrepancy when it comes to New Orleans' defense. They've only given up the 14th most yards in the league. That's not great. It's kind of in the middle. But they've allowed the 29th most points in the league. So when a team's given up a lot of points but not a lot of yards, what happens? Turn the ball over, aren't you? Aha. And here we've come to our biggest culprit. Saints are last in the league in turnover differential, -7. So what do you do tonight? Ball to Alvin Kamara in the passing game, more Taysom Hill in the running game. Hold your turnovers and try to keep Kyler Murray in the pocket as much as you can because they don't have much of a running game without him. And put somebody good on DeAndre Hopkins just in case, he's still DeAndre Hopkins even with the layoff. Hey, Marshawn Lattimore. Damn it. All right. Any other ideas? That's my game plan from this morning. Best I can do for 2-2-4 teams. Saints are a 2.5-point underdog. Total is 43.5. Feels like an under game to me. It's Thursday. Anybody really sharp offensively on Thursdays? Well, they were early in the season when not everybody was beat up, but we're a month and a half in now. We've seen some dreadful offensive work in some of these games. This feels like an under game too. One team's got the backup quarterback in. Top two receivers are out. Other team, top receiver is out. They're trying to replace him with a former top receiver who hasn't played yet this year. Their quarterback's having a crappy year. Yep, under. That's my best guess for you. We'll bring in a little bit more of an informed opinion. Chris Rosvoglu covers the Saints every day, so we will bring him in from Boot Crew Media when we return. Again, the Saints on Eagle tonight against the Arizona Cardinals. We'll take a break. Chris Rosvoglu when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
I'm purchasing a vehicle from Acura and Infinity Pre-Owned. I know that I'm going to get a long list of benefits to go along with that. That's why I'll continue to buy our vehicles there time after time. First of all, with your benefits package, you're going to have up to 6 years unlimited mileage warranty. You're going to get a complimentary first-year basic maintenance package. And these things come after a comprehensive 167-point inspection to make sure that your vehicle is up to the Acura and Infinity standards. You're going to get a free 3-month trial subscription to Sirius XM Radio, emergency roadside assistance that's invaluable if you have older drivers or younger drivers. Emergency roadside assistance will be there for you, and complimentary service courtesy vehicle, my personal favorite of all of the benefits, because my vehicle needs to go in for service. I don't have to sit and wait for it. I also don't have to arrange for transportation back and forth from the dealership. Transparency in pricing and a family atmosphere. It's all there for you at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% with 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Join us for a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill, getting you ready for Black and Gold in Arizona with Luke Johnson from Arizona and Nick Suss of the Jackson Clarion Ledger talks Rebels. Hunt and Hill, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Calling today a sports equinox. Games in all 4 of the major professional sports plus college football. Put that in our first class yesterday, so it's a smorgasbord. Take your pick. Right now we're picking Saints and the Cardinals. Chris Rosvoglu from Boot Crew Media joins us. Chris, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing great. Hoping that they can finally get back in the win column.
You know, everybody is. Before the season, it would have been reasonable to expect that when these teams met on Thursday Night Football, it would be a pair of teams that were, 4-2, 3-3 at least. So both of them off to a very rough start. So let's take inventory on the Saints. Who's there and who's not, and how does it most affect the team tonight?
Yeah, unfortunately, in terms of wide receivers, more of the same. No Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry. I think Saints fans will be pleased to hear that after this Thursday night game, they get that little mini bye, per se, 10 days off, and I think at least one of those two will be back after this week. But again, you have to go without them for another game. No Lattimore. That's going to be critical with DeAndre Hopkins on the other side making his return. But in terms of good news for the Saints and who they have, Andy Dalton will be out there again. I would imagine Jameis Winston will continue to be that QB2 emergency role for now, and maybe the Saints reassess it in Week 8, but that'll be more of the same. And I think the good news also, players that played last week but getting even healthier, guys like Marcus May, guys like Taysom Hill, guys like Alvin Kamara. People don't really talk about it that much because you don't see them listed as questionable or out, but these are guys that have been battling injuries from the last, I'd say, 3 to 4 weeks. And that's no longer really a problem for them. So at least on that front, the Saints will be better. And I think the return of Alontae Taylor, which hasn't been official yet but is expected, that could give this secondary a boost. And boy, they really need it after the way they played against the Bengals.
I want to get to the defensive secondary, but I want to talk about Kamara and Hill first because I talked in the open about how this could be the Saints' path to victory tonight, that Arizona's defense has been pretty solid after the opener through the last 5 weeks, but the two things that have given them some problems, Christian McCaffrey had a big game against them as a receiver, and Jalen Hurts had a big game against them as a runner. So the Saints have one of the best receiving backs in the league in Alvin Kamara, and Taysom Hill is one of the best runners, although you got to use him in specific spots. So can those two guys play a big enough role to make a difference tonight?
I think they absolutely can, and I think it's 2 reasons. I think I look at last week, and I know they ended up losing, but Kamara, Taysom Hill, Mark Ingram, kind of that rushing attack that they had going, that really led the charge for, 56 minutes of the game. They just ended up imploding in the last 4, and I look at the Cardinals side of things. They struggled against Kenneth Walker last week in Seattle, and that's just a rookie who is kind of going into his own. Kamara, meanwhile, has got over 300 scrimmage yards in the last 2 weeks, so he's really hitting his stride. So I think for New Orleans, if you look at the blueprint, I think they absolutely can have another ground and pound approach on offense. And as long as they control the clock and don't settle for as many field goals, I think there is a path to victory here. It's kind of what you mentioned earlier. We talk about the Saints and all their issues they've had. The Cardinals have had just as many. This is a team that's been really disappointing. And unlike the Saints, I think the Saints have actually somewhat found their identity on offense now. The Cardinals are still soul-searching at this moment. So I do think that Kamara, Taysom Hill, and even Mark Ingram, who had a bounce-back game in Week 6, I think that attack can really get it going against the Cardinals defense.
Chris, if you wanted to show some confidence in Kenneth Walker, those of us that took him very late in the fantasy drafts and are now getting him into their lineups are okay with that, in case you were wondering.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at the last 2 weeks, that kid, he's playing very well.
That's just me talking about my fantasy team for 10 seconds who nobody cares about. Let's talk about Taylor and May. One of the big glaring statistics with the Saints is how few turnovers that they have caused, and a lot of that is in the secondary. You talked, I think, the last time we visited about May being that center fielder, allowing that to open some things up, particularly for Tyrann Mathieu. So let's talk about the impact that both May and Taylor will have tonight.
Yeah, I think for Alontae Taylor, it's interesting. Throughout the week, he's kind of gotten looks at outside cornerbacks, so I think that means we'll probably see Bradley Roby get kicked back inside to the slot, and they'll be beneficial to the Saints. You know, no disrespect to Bradley Roby, but I think you look at a game like last week against the Bengals, him on the outside against Jamar Chase, I think you're just asking for trouble. So I flip it to this week, and I'd say him on the outside against DeAndre Hopkins. Once again, you're probably asking for trouble. So I think Alontae Taylor will give the Saints a long physical corner on the outside opposite of Adebo, and they'll need that, especially with Lattimore out. And I think the one thing that really stands out to me about Alontae Taylor, I look at the Week 2 game, and that's really the only footage we have of him in a Saints uniform. Tom Brady tested him early and often, and he answered the call every single time, and he's a willing tackler. He knows how to play without really being too handsy and getting penalized, and I think that's a benefit to him. So I expect that to kind of help the outside. As for the safety spot, I think for the Saints, this is one of those situations where I almost can't even determine what the easy fix is until they show us that they're at least a serviceable unit, because right now, whether it's Tyrann Mathieu, whether it is Marcus May, whether it is P.J. Williams, who's now on IR, we haven't seen much from this safety group. We've had a flash here and there, a forced fumble against Atlanta, and then the pick in the Vikings game from Tyrann Mathieu. And I don't know if it's, too many situations where Tyrann Mathieu's one-on-one in space and it's just a tough spot for him, or if the Saints safeties just don't have the range right now or aren't recognizing plays. But I think against an Arizona's passing attack that's missing Marquise Brown and hasn't really found its footing at all this season, if the Saints can't get it right this game at the safety spot, then I would be concerned moving forward as to when is it ever going to change. Chris,
I've always thought that the most disadvantageous scheduling part of the National Football League is the Thursday night road game. If you get stuck with it, it's already a short week, and if you got to travel and the Saints are traveling halfway across the country, this is really tough. So who on this team tonight is going to go, but man, it would be better off if this game was Sunday?
I think in terms of who would be better off, I think for starters, it would be Paulson Adebo, because the expectation for all of us right now is that he is going to play, and there's nothing that's really told us that he isn't, but he is battling a knee injury. Like, this is one of those situations where a couple of days off, that wouldn't hurt, especially when you have to go up against Hopkins, potentially Robbie Anderson, who just went over to Arizona, and Rondale Moore, so that would definitely help him. I don't know for certain that, those extra days would bring back a Michael Thomas or Jarvis Landry. I think the Saints are really kind of preaching caution there. But I'll give you two names that really would benefit, and they're not really, necessarily major, but it would help. I think Adam Troutman, he's dealing with an ankle injury, but he doesn't have a walking boot on. This is a situation where he should be back fairly soon, maybe even next week against the Raiders. And then one that's more of a considered a special teams / depth purposes would be Keith Kirkwood. I know Saints fans aren't going to exactly get, up in arms and excited about Keith Kirkwood playing, but that receiving chart's really banged up right now, and that's another player who, if you had 2-3 more days, that would help them. But I think the major names would probably still have missed this game, even if it was on Sunday.
If he's a healthy receiver right now, I'm ready to welcome him, because they're, not as many as the Saints would like. When you look at Kyler Murray, do you see a quarterback that is – I don't even know what to ask about him. In the wrong system, not as committed, a dynamic player waiting to break out. A victim of play calling by Cliff Kingsbury. I find him one of the tougher players to scout in the league, because I know he's got talent. It just seems like it's going in the wrong direction right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a really fair assessment, because I think, to your point, think of last year early in the season. I think Kyler Murray was an MVP candidate. The Cardinals were surging. And now you look at the way they finished last year and how they started this year. there are some weeks where I'm watching the Cardinals, and I don't know what you're going to get. I think of the Raiders game, he really led that comeback, and I thought maybe then and there that would kind of spark a little bit of a run for them. But since you're talking about a Cardinals offense that scored 12 points against the Rams, 17 against the Eagles, and 9 against the Seattle defense that just gave up 39 to the Saints. So I'm so baffled by what's going on with Kyler Murray. I think part of the issue for him is not having DeAndre Hopkins. If you just look at his numbers in Arizona, without DeAndre Hopkins, they take a big hit. But I think the other real big issue right now with this Arizona team is they're not having that air raid system they're used to running. And I don't know if that's because the personnel is not up to their expectations or if they just really can't figure it out right now, and maybe Kingsbury's offense has been figured out. And if it's the latter, then that goes to your point that maybe it's a system issue for Kyler Murray. But when I watch the Cardinals right now, I'm seeing a disengaged team, and I'm seeing a team that, if they keep going down this road, I know Saints fans are talking about coaching changes and what needs to go in the quarterback room. This is a Cardinals team that has committed a lot of money to Kyler Murray and has committed a huge extension to Cliff Kingsbury. You might have to get rid of one, and obviously you'd probably lean towards the coach. So I watch this Arizona team. They have a lot of issues, and they don't have an identity right now. And maybe DeAndre Hopkins is the savior they're looking for. But coming off a 6-game suspension, first game back, what type of football shape are you in? I think that Kyler Murray needs more than just DeAndre Hopkins to get back on the right track.
And here's why I think that, Chris, because it's easy enough for Cardinal fans to say, well, DeAndre Hopkins isn't here. And I'm not debating how great DeAndre Hopkins is. The guy's a 5-time All-Pro. But it would have been he would have been hard-pressed to put up much better numbers than what Hollywood Brown did through the first 6 weeks of the season. Brown had the 7th most yards in the league. He had 43 catches through 6 games. He had 3 touchdowns. I mean, these are all superior numbers than some of the receivers that have been lighting up the Saints the last 3 weeks. So I don't know if Arizona can use Hopkins' absence as much of an excuse where Hollywood Brown has really picked up the slack.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And to your point, Hollywood Brown, they brought there to give them that explosive receiver, but also they did it to kind of appease Kyler Murray in the sense that they have that Oklahoma connection. This is a move that Kyler Murray was kind of, I'm not going to say asking and demanding for, but he didn't mind it if they made it. And to your point, you kind of take him out now. And if he was still in the lineup, no foot injury, then I think we could say, all right, Brown and Hopkins together, that is a very dynamic duo. And Rondale Moore in the 3 spot is no slouch. So I do agree with that. That's why I'm watching this Cardinals team, and I really think that they can probably benefit from a reset. And I know that it's kind of unfair to say that while the Saints are going through their own issues, but I look at this Cardinals team. You cannot score 9 points against a Seattle defense that prior to that week was the 2nd worst defense in the NFL. So I think tonight for the Saints, this is an opportunity for the defense to get back on track. You're going up against an offense that has no identity. And more importantly, it's not just no identity. This is a team that is probably going through some stuff behind the scenes.
Last thing, the Cardinals could have their 3rd kicker in, I think, 4 weeks tonight. Matt Prater did not practice yesterday, and they've cut Matt Amendola, who had missed a couple of kicks, and they brought in Rodrigo Blankenship, the former Colt kicker, and we expect to see him tonight. I think we're going to see him tonight. Maybe you can shed a little bit more light on that. So if this does come down to a kick, I like the Saints kicker better than whoever Arizona is going to trot out there, either Blankenship or an injured Prater.
Yeah, I that is definitely a good point, and especially if you look at the way Will Lutz has played the last couple of weeks, he's really found his stride. Now, I still kind of feel like we're going to see Matt Prater out there. I think the fact that they left him questionable, they're going to let him go through kicks in warm-ups and see how he goes. And Matt Prater's actually dealt through a lot of injuries before. He's one of those kind of, tough kickers, and they don't make a lot of them, but he is one of them. But to your point, though, if this does come down to a kick, I don't care if it's Prater or not. I do like the Saints in that regard. You're talking about a Will Lutz who did go 4 for 4 last week, but I'll throw this in there. I almost hope it doesn't come down to a kick in the sense that the Saints last week settled for a lot of field goals, didn't have a lot of touchdowns. If they can fix that red zone offense, I know it's hard to hear with the way this season's gone over the last 6 weeks. I think this is a very gettable game. But to your point, Will Lutz versus who I expect to be a banged-up Matt Prater, who I think will be active, give me Will Lutz.
Yeah, one kick, not 4 kicks. How's that? Thanks, Chris. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Chris Rosvoglu from Boot Crew Media covering the Saints. and the Pelicans, which is where we're going when we come back. Yeah, look, I know it's football season. It was opening night, man. It was something to see. I'm sorry. I've been waiting for a good Pelicans team for quite some time. I enjoyed last night. Take a break. Come back and do that. When we return, this is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Head on over to Big Mike's for the Saints game tonight. Karaoke after the game, and, of course, happy hour drink prices leading into Saints and the Cardinals. Tomorrow night, live music from Beside Ourselves, and Saturday for the LSU game, DJ Clarence performing all afternoon. Happy hour drink prices throughout the NFL on Sunday. And of course, on Friday nights, if you're out late for high school football, the restaurant is open late. You can bring the whole family in and eat after the high school football games. Halloween just around the corner. Big Halloween party on the 29th, Saturday the 29th at Big Mike's Costume Party. And Clarence the Entertainer will be the DJ. And if you want to bring the kids out during the week, a really cool event called Trunk or Treat on Tuesday, October the 25th. Starts at 7 o'clock. It basically combines trick-or-treating with tailgating all throughout the parking lot. You can bring the kids out. There'll be music. There'll be prizes, candy for everybody. It's Trunk or Treat at Big Mike's. It's on Aspen in Denham Springs. At Big Mike's, we're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at Running Boards Marketing.
NFL is back. Our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So last night, the baseball game is on. There's a college football game on, and I'm gonna be moving, in between games. I'm gonna be watching everything, but I'm gonna be watching the Pelicans because I've been waiting to see this lineup for quite some time. Been waiting to see. If you listen to the podcast yesterday, I understand if the NBA is not at the top of brain in October, but give me a minute here, okay? A healthy, happy, confident, and deep team that's well coached. Wow. Been a while, okay, since they had all of those things in place. In retrospect, I'm happy that they played the Nets because this put a lot more light on this game than if, say, they had played the Pistons or the Pacers, okay? And Kevin Durant was there. Kyrie Irving was there. Ben Simmons was there, sort of. So this game had some national appeal to it, and it got a lot more attention than I think it normally would have. And the Pelicans blew them out gate to wire. I mean, from jump. They're up 20-4 before the Nets had tied their shoelaces, and they kept it going. Durant got on a little bit of a roll in the second quarter. They cut the lead to 8, and the Pelicans answered that at the beginning of the third quarter, and this game was a rout. And they absolutely dominated every facet that you can. And even Kyrie after the game, and Kyrie actually looked like he wanted to be there for once. Simmons didn't, but Kyrie did. He's like, man, this is a grown man's league, and those guys over there showed you why they're going to be. I mean, this is Kyrie, okay? I mean, when Kyrie speaks, usually it's because he's angry with his own organization about something. I mean, Kyrie went to the postgame and went, man, did you see that? Ooh, that's pretty good. I ended up watching the whole game. The college game got out of hand. I did watch the baseball. I was watching enough of the baseball that when the basketball game was over, I was pitch by pitch through the last 3 innings. But here's what I saw. Okay, first of all, big lineup. This is a big basketball team. All right, the second chance points were, I think, the second most in the last 25 years, or however far the stats go back. 61-39 on the boards, 21 offensive rebounds. So they are crushing it inside. It's a very big basketball team. It's a very long basketball team, both interior and on the perimeter. So that's the first thing that jumps out at you. The second thing is they were moving the basketball. There were times in the first quarter where I'm looking at this going, is this the San Antonio Spurs? I mean, it was like somewhere Popovich was smiling going, that's what you want to see right there. There were a lot of times where there were good shots and they passed them up for better shots. There was one in particular on a break that C.J. McCollum had an open three. Passed it up because Trey Murphy had an open three. He dishes, Murphy buries it, and, well, that's just, a little bit of the unselfishness. Transition defense was really, really good. A number of times it looked like the Nets were going to get a breakaway. Pelicans were right where they're supposed to be. Part of why they caused 16 turnovers last night. That was very good. The individual defense was really, really good as well. Now, look, Kevin Durant's still, probably the best basketball player on the planet when he's healthy and engaged, and right now he's healthy and engaged. So, look, the whole trade nonsense was about their internal strife and Durant's unhappiness and all those things, and how long he's going to be able to keep this up because he's had some injuries and he's getting older. But nobody ever disputed the fact that Kevin Durant is one of the best, if not the best, basketball player on the planet. So there's a play, if you haven't seen it, look it up, it's worth it, where he gets the ball in the corner and he goes to release a three. Kevin Durant is almost 7 feet tall. He has very long arms. His shooting style, his shooting stroke is from almost the top of his jump. So you got a guy that's just under 7 feet tall, who, when he puts his arms at full extension above his head, is somewhere in the area of over 9 feet, something like that, somewhere in the area of 9 feet, give or take. And his timing is always such that you almost never see a Kevin Durant jump shot blocked. Somebody might catch him from behind, so he might not see somebody coming occasionally. He may go into the lane into a bunch of trees every now and then and, draw contact and there's a foul and the shot gets blocked. But you don't ever see Kevin Durant get a face-up jump shot blocked. I mean, this might happen I don't know, 3 times a season. And here comes Herb Jones. Now, Herb Jones has got to time his jump to where he's over 9 feet in the air with his arm extended with the ball over the top of Durant and make sure he doesn't foul him, or, doesn't crash into him when he does it. And he blocks this thing clean, and the Pels get the ball. And Antonio Daniels, who's on the broadcast, goes, "That's going viral right there." It's an amazing defensive play. I got a bet for you later in the segment I'll tell you about. So the individual defense was terrific. The rotation, they went 10 deep last night. Nobody had to play more than 31 minutes. It looked like for a team that was playing together in a real game for the first time, which is what they were doing last night, they didn't even get this starting 5 out there in the preseason. 10 deep, and they didn't have Jackson Hayes, who's going to play when he comes back. Nobody had to play more than 31 minutes. The rotations looks good. They were fresh. Didn't see any hint of foul trouble. I mean, this whole thing was really, really impressive. You blew out the Nets, the 3rd favorite in the East, the 5th favorite to win the title. Now, this is game 1. Did you see Zion in the post game? He's got a smile from ear to ear. I mean, it's just lit up. This guy is just, you ever look at somebody and go, man, that person's happy. This person is happy. Unless he's an award-winning actor, he ain't faking this. He's got this big smile, and, he's like, hey, look, we expected this. We're happy. I'm just so happy to be back on the court. Reminded me of the first game that Magic Johnson ever played, because Magic has a smile that can light up a room. I mean, is there anybody that's got a bigger smile in the NBA than Magic Johnson? Here comes Magic Johnson. The guy's happy to be playing basketball. He's got a smile on his face every time you see him with a basketball in his hands, and a lot of times when you don't. And Magic Johnson's first game was the first game after he had played his last college game, which was the championship against Larry Bird. So they're playing Phoenix, and at this point, Kareem, I think, is 10, maybe 12 years into his career. And they're playing the Suns, and it comes down to the last possession. And they get the ball to Kareem. Kareem makes a shot at the horn, and the Lakers win. And Magic runs over with this Magic Johnson smile. Kareem, we won. And he jumps up in Kareem's arms, and he's hugging him. And he's like, man, this is great. Just like the last game I won. We won the NCAA championship. And Kareem looks at him with a scowl and goes, kid, we got 82 of these. Okay? So understand that there's 82 of these things, okay? And it ain't always going to be as great as last night. But this was really, really fun to watch. It was really encouraging. You look like a team that was having fun, was excited to be there, that was absolute, for a first game, really in sync. Imagine when, they've got some playing time together. So some of the odds shifted and some of them didn't, but I wanted to run a few of these. Mario, we need to write these down because these are definitely going to fluctuate. So here, after opening night, the Pels are still the 15th to win the NBA title. They're not going to win the NBA title. I understand it, okay? But they're the 15th choice right now at plus 3,500. They are, to win the West, tied for 8th in the middle, plus 1,800. I didn't expect those odds to shift a ton after one of 82 games, but they did come from plus 4,000 to plus 3,500 to win the NBA title. Zion is the 10th choice to win the MVP at plus 2,500. We'll update these like once a month or something like that. They are this one I think has got some legs to it because they're not gonna win the NBA title, and they're extremely unlikely to win the West. Those are long shot bets. But if you wanted to give me plus 300 on them to win the division, I think that's a live bet. Dallas and Memphis are the co-first choice at plus 125. I think that this team is live to win the division. Dallas and Memphis are good. They are not appreciably – they're not 2.5 times better than the Pelicans. Plus 300, that's a live bet. Plus 5,000 on Herb Jones to win Defensive Player of the Year. If Antonio Daniels is right and that clip does go viral, that's a hell of a place to start, okay? He's the 16th choice in the league. There's 15 players that are ahead of him in the betting order. I doubt seriously there are 15 better individual defenders at this point than Herb Jones. And finally, I think the bet I like the best on the Pelicans right now is Willie Green to win Coach of the Year at plus 1,000. 10-1 on Willie Green to win Coach of the Year. He's the 4th choice. that's a live bet. So if you're asking me, you want to throw a little cheddar on this for the season to have something to root for without having to. The NBA betting it on an individual night basis requires you to go see who's playing and if they're really playing, or you don't always get 100% every night. So you just want something. Hey, look, let me stay interested here for the year, but I don't want to have to decide if somebody for the Portland Trail Blazers is playing tonight. Willie Green at plus 1,000 to win Coach of the Year. This is at Bet Rivers. That's not bad. Plus 5,000 on Herb Jones to win Defensive Player of the Year. That really ain't bad. And plus 300 to win the division. Those are all solid. Those are all solid bets. Tough night for Ben Simmons. He has gone. The guy took 3 shots last night, and 2 of them were dunks. The last time I saw Ben Simmons playing, he looked like a guy that was scared to shoot in the fourth quarter, especially in the playoffs. Now he looks like a guy that's scared to shoot all the time. It's not that he's scared to take big shots or shots with the clock running down, or shots where somebody's guarding him, or shots that are outside the arc, which has been a play. He doesn't want to shoot at all. I mean, like Dennis Rodman with the Bulls doesn't want to shoot at all. Not even a shot fake. Tease me a little, make yourself some kind of threat. At least when Rodman decided he wasn't going to shoot ever again, unless he was like that religious guy in Hoosiers, unless you're underneath the basket all by yourself, keep it in the dribble strap. Simmons just doesn't want to shoot at all. Unlike Rodman, who at that point committed himself to being the best rebounder in the NBA, which he was for many years, Simmons looked pretty disinterested. I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass because I think the back's probably hurting him. I didn't necessarily believe all of the stuff that came out of his camp last year, but watching him attempt to play defense last night and fouling out in 23 minutes with 9 minutes to go on the clock, yeah, I think his back's probably hurting. Just a guess. That's Brooklyn's problem. Pels 1-0, 130 to 108. Take a break. Be back with your questions out of the chat. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Going to be great weather this weekend for LSU and Ole Miss. You're going out tailgating before or even after the game because it's 2:30 start. Make it with Supreme Rice. Your jambalayas, your stews, your red beans. You're going to make some gumbo this weekend? Hey, not a bad idea as far as I'm concerned. Make it with Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley, Louisiana since the 1930s. It's easy to get at all your AG food stores, all your Walmarts. Stop by Costco. See us for pregame. Pick up some Supreme Rice. Whether it's the long grain, the medium grain, the brown, or the jasmine, you're going to stretch your food dollar with Supreme Rice. You're going to enjoy a delicious product. So do what we do at our house and what many, many are doing for tailgating this weekend. Make it Supreme Rice. For more information, great recipes, go to supremerice.com.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community.
We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shop a style.
Oh, yeah.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country state.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. It's game day. We're previewing Saints at Cardinals. Ryan Clark will join us, our Fantasy Blitz. It's Thursday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Going into the chat for some of the questions. Ask Hanny, do you think Urban Meyer takes one of the open jobs next year? No, not the jobs that are open right now. If a different job opened up, maybe. But he doesn't fit at Wisconsin. He doesn't fit at Colorado. He doesn't fit at Georgia Tech. He doesn't fit at Arizona State. You got to do better than that. And you gotta take a deep breath before you get in the Urban Meyer business. No thanks from me. Ask Hanny, can the Pels win 50 this season? Yeah, 50 is reasonable. Their total, I think, yesterday closed at 44, 43 and a half maybe. 50 is definitely doable. Ask Hanny, what job will Deion Sanders get next season? So this one is harder because Deion's going to have some opportunities, but he also doesn't have to go anywhere. He can wait for the job that he wants. I thought that going into the season that Mike Norvell was on shaky ground in Tallahassee. I think he's right at that. I don't think unless they collapse in November, he's not going anywhere. And I think that's the job Deion wants is at Florida State. I think he wants that. Wants to come back in and restore the program to what it was when he was there, or at least what it was for the first 5 years that Jimbo was there. And that job, at the beginning of the season, I thought it could come open. I thought if Norvell had, a 6 or 7 win season, that he was in trouble. They've done a little bit better than that. So Deion, to me, you take the Georgia Tech job, and this is hard, man. You almost got to have a hook at Georgia Tech, like they ran the option for years and, they won. I don't know that that's a job that you want. I don't think he wants the Arizona State job. I don't think he wants the Nebraska job. I don't think that, Wisconsin's got 2 other coaches that are in play that are both probably better fits at Wisconsin. Now, if Auburn opened, that would be interesting. That would really be interesting. If you're Auburn, would you rather have Lane Kiffin or Deion Sanders? Would either one of them take the job? Would they offer it to somebody else? I would take Lane Kiffin. He's got a longer track record, but Lane Kiffin may not want that job. Deion Sanders may not want that job. Auburn may not want either one of them. Auburn's a tricky job right now. It's the toughest division in football, and if you step on the wrong crack in the sidewalk, they'll fire you. So no, but he's going to be a Power 5 coach. It's just the fit's got to be right. Deion doesn't have to take that job. There's some coaches like, hey, look, the first D1 job opens up, the first Power 5 job opens up, not D1. I'm taking it. Deion's not like that. So I don't think that that's necessarily urgent at this point. Ask Hanny, does Jeff Bezos buy the Commanders? I don't know if he's going to buy them, but I'm as convinced as I can be that Daniel Snyder's going to have to sell them. In between Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft cussing each other out yesterday over the commissioner's salary, word has kind of trickled out. They've got the votes to get Snyder out. And I said this many times. You know what this is about among those owners? It ain't about sexual harassment. It ain't about how crass and how much of a scumbag Daniel Snyder is. It's that they finally found him stealing from him. He was cutting the gate receipts. Those NFL owners, harass all the people you want. Don't steal my money. You got the votes. Hunt and Hill are next. Join us at Jolie Pearl tonight for Jimmy Ott's Game Time. 104.5 ESPN Baton